Hi, my name is Bryce Lashinsky. I'm an IT manager at Komatsu, leading our data analytics and business intelligence. I'm also doing a lot with technology transformation and all of the AI work that we've been trying to stand up across our organization. So excited to show what we've been able to do here with Palantir and AIP as part of a solution with our AI enablement and technologies that we're trying to bring to the table to unlock our business value and ultimately deliver value to our customers. So a little bit about Komatsu. We're a leading manufacturer in construction and mining equipment. So we make very large machines when it comes to our mining equipment, hauling trucks, electric rope shovels, wheel loaders, and then all the construction equipment that you probably see when you're driving down the highway throughout construction season. Many of that is manufactured by Komatsu. So we do all the manufacturing of mining and construction equipment, and we also do service for that equipment. And with our mining equipment especially, one of the biggest things that our mining customers are very keen on is maximizing the amount of uptime that their machines are running out in the field. We deal directly with our mining customers. We sell machines to them that last them a long time, and we want to make sure that we're guaranteeing a lot of uptime, maximum uptime as possible for our mining customers. When we think about our mining customers and their machine uptime is their overall business model, how can they maximize their revenue? And in mining, it's fairly simple. As much ore that you can dig out of the ground as fast as you can, the more revenue that our mining customers are generating. So that machine uptime for our mining customers is absolutely critical. And from a service standpoint at Komatsu, we want to make sure that we're maximizing as much uptime as possible for our customers. What we wanted to do here in terms of how we could leverage AI and Palantir Foundry's AIP as part of a solution, we wanted to take a look at how we can leverage our existing work that we've done within Foundry and our existing workflow that we've built out really with our supply chain efforts, particularly for our North American mining distribution group. And with this workflow, we were really able to capitalize on a few things. In the past, there was a lot of manual processes within our supply chain group in general, in terms of extracting data from disparate data sources, manipulating that data within Excel, and then various means of communication to expedite certain orders, to be able to meet customer deliveries on time and make sure that we're getting components to them for open sales orders and for service orders, making sure that we're fulfilling those on time as well. So we were able to leverage Foundry and really the supply chain control tower archetype here to pull together a really good workflow that our supply chain group within our mining distribution group is using actively today. And we wanted to see how we can maybe leverage AIP as an extension of this existing solution. So looking at how we can maybe leverage AI to really increase not only the visibility of our supply chain data, but also to maximize really that customer machine uptime. There's a couple things that we could have done. One of the things that we wanted to look into was particularly with some of the tribal knowledge that our service technicians have when it comes to servicing this equipment. And so, as I mentioned earlier, our mining equipment lasts for a very long time, could be 20 to 30 years on average, I would say. And being able to service that equipment so we can extend the longevity of that equipment and ultimately maximize the machine uptime when it's out in the field is something that we're very keen on at Komatsu. So we have a lot of this tribal knowledge that is sitting with our service technicians at various service centers throughout North America. And we have digital workflows and applications at these service centers where our technicians are putting in failure analysis, comments, and open text data into this application. And we're capturing that data, but we're not necessarily using it for anything. So we wanted to look at how we could maybe evaluate taking this tribal knowledge and actually driving impact to our supply chain workflows to help maybe see if there's any correlation with that tribal knowledge and open text and our supply chain workflows in turn to try to maximize the machine uptime for our customers in the field. So with that, we looked into the opportunity a bit further and we went down the path to look at AIP and how we can leverage large language models to decipher some of that open text from our service technicians and the tribal knowledge that exists. And we wanted to see how we can minimize that risk of machine failures that are occurring out in the field. Because when we see machine failures in the field, that in turn results in downtime of the machine and lost revenue for our customers. So What the solution we wanted to look at was taking our existing supply chain workflow. When we have open service orders, how can we maybe make recommendations based on previous major components that are coming into our service centers, and make recommendations to say, you should go look at this bearing, or you should go look at maybe this assembly or this O-ring. If it's worn down quite a bit, or maybe if it needs some kind of replacement, let's do that right now so we don't have to maybe realize additional downtime for this major component that's coming in the near future, so we can maximize that machine uptime in the field. So that's really what we wanted to evaluate, is making suggestions of additional parts and components on what we call major components that are coming into our service centers. So for an electric rope shovel, that might be something like a snub right, which is really the part that is holding the dipper bucket so it's not smashing up against the dipper and causing damage to the overall machine. This is a major component which is critical to our mining operations, for surface mining in particular. So these machines are very big. The size of this 4100 PXE is usually larger than the regular house if you see one driving down the road. So the snub right comes in as a major component to a service center. We want to look at how we can maybe make recommendations based on previous service orders for other snub rights that may have come through. What has maybe been the root cause of failure for those snub rights, and how can we take that knowledge and that data from our service technicians from historical service orders and apply that to our open service orders. Being able to kind of make these recommendations, maximize the machine uptime while they're out in the field, drives customer satisfaction and overall quality improvements for Komatsu. With that, we'll get into a little bit of a demo here. So this is an example of our existing workflow as we see it in Foundry. We added an additional tab here for service order overviews. And when we click on the service order overview tab, we can see all of our open service orders and alerts that are on these open service orders for maybe parts that we would need to expedite with our vendors to be able to fulfill those service orders on time. Or maybe need to initiate a stock transfer order from a different facility to be able to ultimately get that service order fulfilled on time as well. So we'll look at an example here of an open service order that we have. And this is going to open up and tell us all of the existing parts on that service order. So I can go through and take a look at all of the open parts that we have in the service order. And then with AIP, I can click on AIP recommendations, and this will generate a list of recommended new parts that I can add to the open service order based on previous service orders and that historical tribal knowledge from our service technicians that exists now within Foundry as well. So on the left, we can see a list of the recommended new parts that we would maybe want to evaluate adding to this open service order. So it'll give us a list of the parts that we maybe want to add to the open service order, and it'll kind of give us a reason why we'd want to add that based on that open text data that we're bringing in from our service technician tribal knowledge. AIP also gives us really the reference to the previous service orders that it's pulling this data from, so we can go back and reference exactly maybe what happened with this major component in the past, and we can kind of do some further evaluation. So with that, I can go ahead and look at these parts that are being recommended. I can go through and evaluate them and ultimately select which ones I'd maybe want to add to the open service order. So I'll select 2 here, and we'll go through and add these parts to the open service order. And AIP is going to bring up a screen and give me a review for why we're adding these parts to the open service order. And ultimately, it gives me the ability here to take action and add these parts onto the open service order in real time. So I don't need to go to a different application and add those parts to the open service order. I can do that all within Foundry, which is a huge value add and benefit for our operations. The other piece to note here is really with the risk assessment. So again, one of the things we wanted to make sure we were looking into and keeping as really our North Star with this application is how are we maximizing our customer machine uptime at the end of the day. So the risk score that AIP is generating is taking into consideration what is the likelihood that maybe this major component makes it back into one of our service orders within the next, say, 6 to 12 months if maybe some of these recommended parts are not added to the open service order. So AIP is giving us a risk score based on that information. It's telling us a reason on why it's making the recommendations and why it's generating this risk score. And I can take that into account as I'm looking through the recommended parts that I would maybe want to add to this open service order. So as I've added these parts to the open service order, I could then go ahead and rate the suggestion to help train the model. and basically tell it if it's doing a good job or not, if it's giving me good recommendations or if it needs to do some improvements the next time around. That's really the use case that we went forward here with in terms of applying AIP to be able to bring in additional data sources and capture some of that tribal knowledge from some of our service technicians and apply that to our supply chain operations. So looking at some of our value add and key lessons, key takeaways that we've learned from this overall effort is, number one, with our ontology and our supply chain work that we've done, it's absolutely crucial to have really a contextual ontology built out in a way that makes sense for our business users, that they can understand the data, they can understand how the data correlates across various object types, and they can leverage that data and use it for not only our workflows that we've developed, but also for ad hoc analysis, etc. Also being able to leverage AIP logic as an application to really make use of open text data that was sitting and not being used at all. We were just capturing that from our service technicians, but now being able to use AIP logic as really a seamless interface to be able to make use of that data and actually apply it in a meaningful use case has proven to be very valuable. We've identified a number of additional use cases where that could be additional value add for our organization. Really being able to take the supply chain workflow that we've built out and this AIP use case, we've seen a lot of pushing of the boundary in terms of the art of the possible and what we could do going forward, not only within supply chain, but in other areas of our business. So we're really excited about that, to leverage not only Foundry, but also with AIP to understand how we can start to maximize value with our operations, start to improve very, very rapidly our operational excellence, and ultimately help our customers realize value at the end of the day. And I would say the last piece here in terms of a lesson learned and something that was a key takeaway for us was being able to sit down with Palantir and do an AIP bootcamp to not only brainstorm some ideas that we could take to the table and do some use cases with AIP, but also help understand how we can start to leverage AIP logic and some of the other applications within Foundry to actually make use of the LLMs and apply them to our everyday work. So that was a huge value add. We saw a lot of participation with that, a lot of good input from business leaders and some of our other business users and technical users as well, to be able to learn how we can apply those tools into our overall capabilities. It was a great use case. We're really excited to see how we can take it forward, and we're seeing a lot of value with it thus far, and can't thank Palantir enough for the opportunity and appreciate it.